Northwest Profiles, presented by CarStar. Cars are more than just metal. They're our friend, and our best friend's best friend. When something happens to them, you can depend on CarStar for collision, glass, and auto care. CarStar, where accidents unhappen.
On the morning of July 16, 2015, officials from the city of Spokane gather next to Interstate 90 to commemorate the establishment of a piece of art that celebrates the indigenous peoples who, long before settlers, fished the falls next to where the city will grow. Native artist Virgil Smoker Marchand, a tribal member of the Lakes Band of the Colville Confederated Tribes, is the artist, a man who takes Native history and legend and transforms them into monuments that celebrate his and his people's culture.
Spapu means smoke in our language. Smoker's always been my nickname. It was given to me by my grandmother, Mary Marchand. I'm not a master of one kind of art. I think I do a little bit of everything. In the beginning, I did a lot of painting, drawing, pen and ink. Then I went into bronzing. Then I went into ice carving. I went into wood carving, and I found steel. And from there on, this is what I do.
For over 20 years, Smoker has been creating three-dimensional sculptures that he has shaped from cutting, welding, and bending. Along with the help of his uncle, Gary McKinnon, who does most of the joint welding, Smoker moves from one task to another in his process of creating unique figures that are usually born from native lore, like the BB Springs Wildlife Area near Chelan Falls.
You look at the Spokane Falls, we all gathered there. Kettle Falls, we all gathered there. The mouth of the Okanagan and the Columbia, we all gathered there. So basically, all the bands and the tribes, they work together. The Salmon Chief, he was an important person. He wasn't always a chief. He was somebody who all the bands respected. And his job was to make sure everybody had enough salmon to make it through the winter. So he distributed them. He made sure everybody had it, no matter who you were. And these areas they call common ground areas was basically your worst enemy could come there and fish with you. I still get compliments from the pieces at BB Springs. You know, they come up and talk about it. I had a lot of input from the community, had a lot of input from the elders. The root digging, the salmon scene. I have a young boy pulling the salmon up the creek while his dad's out there spearing the fish. I have a young girl who's actually putting the meat on a drying rack. I have the mother taking care of the salmon bake. We're all cultural things that I know.
Throughout central and eastern Washington, central British Columbia, and parts of the southwestern United States, signs of Smoker's work can be seen near rest stops, in front of shopping malls, near bodies of water, and busy roadways. Many of the Canadian pieces were commissioned from his friend and chief of the Osoyoos Indian Band, just north of a border that separates countries, but not tribes. Out of the gate, Smoker hit it big with his first commissioned piece destined for the Incomeep Cultural Center. Collaborating with welder Alan Avery in Colfax, Washington, Smoker pulled out all the stops for his first major creation.
We was a little overkill on the steel. We used, I think, 1/4 inch all the way around it, and it was very difficult to bend. All we had was a hammer and and a vise, and basically that's how we got started. Chief Clarence Louis, I always tell people he kind of made me, because he was actually the first piece I did, and from then on I probably did between 70 and 80 pieces just for him.
One of the most spectacular pieces to date, just north of Oliver, BC, at the Senkulman Business Park, is a piece finished in 2011 named Statue of Responsibility.
That's the piece probably the most difficult. Both of those man and woman is 12 foot tall. And how I had to do them, the half of the bodies were done 7 foot. Then I connected them so they were actually 12 foot. Now, I never had the ring at the time. They just told me it's going to be about the circle about this big. So I had to design it so they actually positioned themselves on each side to hold the ring up. And it came out perfect.
Growing up in Omak, Washington, in a not-so-perfect childhood in the 1960s and 70s, Smoker found himself languishing, caught in a whirlwind of what he considers mistaken pride.
It was a troubled youth. I was taken away from my grandma when I was 6 years old and sent to the mission, St. Mary's Mission. And it's a place where I felt I was taken from someone who loved me and put in a place where they didn't like me. I was up there for 4 years and I ran away 5 times and they finally kicked me out. But I didn't realize at the time my mom couldn't afford to really take care of me. My 9th grade year, they said my hair was too long, so they kicked me out. And I felt they were doing me a favor, so I went to work in an apple shed, about 16 years old. My brother, he was actually finishing school at the mission. He sent an application to the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And you have to draw pictures for your application. And he got accepted. Well, unknown to me, my mom had him draw pictures for me. And got me accepted. I got down there and it was such a, I don't know how to explain it, life-changing moment for me. I found out I had talent. Yeah, you know, when you're a young man, there's a lot of life lessons, and you sometimes you have this hurt and bitterness, and you mistake for pride, and it takes you a long, long time to realize, you know, that really that pride is just hurt. It is nothing else. You know, it took me a long time to realize it.
Fast forward to present day. Smoker has amassed a body of work that is truly remarkable. Among them, in Spokane, a salmon chief below the falls near the Spokane River. Between Nispelem and the Grand Coulee Dam, a scene of root diggers in a place that historically was a root digging site. And an homage to Sasquatch on DeSoto Pass, which alarms countless passers-by that drive below it. In the works, a display for the community of Pateros of a native spearfishing off a horse's back.
People standing on the horse and actually spearing fish, and I said, that's pretty incredible. To get a horse like that would stand in a river and you could salmon fishing off him. I said, that's a new experience for me. So this concept here is I'm learning as I'm going. I get to do something as part of my history and culture that I don't even know. It'll educate people, even including myself. I thought I'd seen it all, but I guess I didn't. I think there's so much for me to do and so much for me to learn. I've been very lucky.
If you have an idea for Northwest Profiles, send it to KSPS TV, 3911 South Regal, Spokane, Washington 99223. Northwest Profiles is a presentation of KSPS Public Television.